Dubai, I had to move to Dubai. It's very challenging to sell property when you don't have data. So Real Trust is an idea that I've had for over a decade, but today I really find the capabilities of ChatGPT to be fascinating.
Hey guys, I'm here today with Lynnette Sacchetto. Sacchetto or Sacchetto?
Sacchetto.
I got it right, yeah?
Yeah, you got it right.
Hey guys, I'm here today for our podcast with Lynnette Sacchetto, talking all things Dubai real estate, and hope you enjoy. Yeah, so I'm trying to get, like, you said you had a videographer?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get, like, I really want to do like a fly on the wall, docu-series style kind of thing, but it's, yeah, everyone's working on it now, but it's quite hard to get, because there's so many great things that happen, conversations and just exciting moments, and
just write them down, and then, like, he's your videographer?
Yeah, well, we're just, we're working, this is the second, like, kind of, not shift, but second attempt of coming up with the vlog.
Yeah.
But yeah, ideally we want someone full-time. I mean, ideally we want a few people full-time, just to capture it all.
Exactly, because people like those real life moments and real life stories.
100%.
So, especially in real estate, because I'm sure all your followers are within the real estate industry, right?
Yeah,
so, like when we started the series, so much good feedback.
Yeah.
So many good leads.
Because it's real and it's not
real.
just like,
Yeah. So, and I got my inspiration from a few different creators on TikTok.
Yeah.
In completely other industries.
Yeah. It's the best way sometimes.
And there was one, his name is Colin, he does private jets.
Okay,
Amalfi Jets.
Oh, okay.
No, he's in the US.
Okay.
And I love his style of videos, and he does very well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's do something like that. And then there was a few other like inspirations, but
Yeah.
what I found is, like, when you do those real life stories, or maybe like a client is here, or you have a client on the phone,
So good, yeah.
they love it.
It's, yeah, exactly.
And the
it's
amount
so
of
real.
replays my reels get,
Yeah.
it's insane. And people watch the whole reel.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it works well.
It's the best way. And I also think if you can document as opposed to having to create everything,
Exactly.
it takes so long.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's the only way to put out enough content across all the platforms to be successful. I think we've got to document and then edit like what you've done, as opposed to coming up with something from scratch. Yeah.
And you guys have a sales office, right?
We will in our project. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is our sales office, by the way. So this is a little bit of a different layout, but this is where we sold our project. So 1.4 billion dirhams was transacted. Yeah, pretty much on that TV and this couch.
Congrats.
Yeah, it was crazy. We were looking for like 1,000 square foot office space. No, sorry, 3,000 to 5,000 square foot we were looking for, and we were going to put a show apartment in the office.
Oh.
Because it was a big project, but we just we got approvals to go ahead sooner than we thought, and we thought, you know what, let's go with it. This was actually my office, so the desk was here, and there was 2 chairs, and we were like, oh, where can we actually sell the project from?
That's interesting.
So we did this like over the weekend, put some furniture and we moved the desks around, and no spend on marketing.
Wow.
I mean, a small amount on brochures.
Yeah.
But no model, no materials, no nothing. And we sold it. It was a great time. Yeah. So I don't take all the credit,
But now you have a track record, you have the credibility in the market, so you can probably continue from here.
We want to continue. It's just getting the right land is the key. You're getting the right plot, because we want to do branded residences, we want to do high-end luxury, but you can't put, you can't put Kempinski, for example, in JVC. So, and then when you're trying to find waterfront or prime central location, the prices just come so crazy.
Yeah.
Because obviously you need margin to make our investors money on the land. So we'll see. But I think once this is handed over, we'll have more time to actually think about our next move.
When's it handing over?
So July 31st is on the SPA.
This year?
Yeah, like in a few months.
Oh wow!
And we'll be close. We're 83% now on Rest App.
Very nice.
So let's see. It's not going to be late for Dubai standards. It's probably going to be September moving in. So I'm still hesitant to put a date on it, because everyone calls me every day saying, when can we move in? And I'm like, I can't say, if I was the person like really do it, but the contractor's obviously optimistic.
And then you have that year buffer.
Exactly. But we're going to be nowhere near that. I think for Dubai standards, we're going to be really early, to be honest, which is great. Which is the way it should be, to be honest.
It is, and you don't have a lot of supply in that area, right?
No. Other developers,
Yeah.
No.
Like
There's the
that's
Ritz-Carlton.
being handing over.
No. So
Yeah.
it's going to be the only one on that
That's
side
really
of
good.
Jeddah.
That's really good.
I really don't like to say Jeddah because you just automatically think of the other side of Al Khail. This is it's super nice. I don't know if you've been down there.
I have not.
They've got a coffee shop now and the water. It's so nice.
Yesterday we went to the Marriott on the Creek.
Okay.
Is that in that area?
I think it's on the other side. I think,
Okay.
Yeah.
It was at night, so I didn't
Yeah,
really.
I think it's on the other side of the water, on the other side of the road. But I think people are really surprised. One thing when we were selling the project was, in my experience, when people leave the office and say, I'll go and have a look and think about it, they never come back. But literally they were going, because it's only 10 minutes away, and I'll think, okay, we won't see them again. And then they'll just be coming back. They'll be like, okay, we're coming back with the check now, we want to book it. I was like, wow.
That's very
But it
nice.
was a great time.
How much were they starting at?
So we sold 800 square foot one beds at 1.8 million starting price. That was on the back side, which is like where the park's going to be, the community park. On the other side, we started from, I think we started the one beds from 2.5 in the first tower.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
like
huge difference.
marina prices
Yeah, I know.
for off-plan.
I mean, 4,000 per square foot on the creek side we were
Yeah.
selling them at. We've just sold our last two 4 bedrooms, 22 million and 24 million. So we've just got one left now, which is we kept it back. It's like the penthouse. It's got 3 floors, infinity rooftop pool. It's crazy. The view's insane.
Wow.
So it was.
I would love to see it one day.
Yeah, me too. I've not been for a while. I drive past, but I really think it's going to be a cool spot. We're going to have 5 pools. There's going to be a beach area. The resort is what sold it. It's
Really?
a real resort. Yeah, it's like Krakow. I don't even know Krakow. They did the Dubai fountains. They did Bulgari, 4 Seasons.
Okay.
Like they're from the UK, but they're like the best when it comes to landscape. JBR Beach,
Okay.
Lama, like they're really good. So we really didn't skimp on who we're working with. ECC as a contractor, La Casa as the architect,
Okay.
and Krakow for the landscaping. So yeah, it's
Very
going to be a
nice.
good one. So I think we'll kick things off. I'll do a proper introduction aside. But yeah, so Lynnette, thanks for coming down. Appreciate it. We're going, right? Yeah? Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, all good.
All right.
So casual start. But I wanted to just ask, I mean, you've done so many of these now, trying to be a little bit different, but real estate, how did you first get into real estate? What was your introduction into real estate and why?
Okay, so I started from when I can remember, so about 5, 6, 7 years old.
Oh wow.
My mother
I wasn't
had,
thinking it was going to be that far back.
yeah, it's really far
Okay,
back.
wow.
So my mother owned an apartment building in the south side of Chicago.
Okay.
English is her second language.
Okay.
So I managed the building from when I can
Wow.
remember. So the
Okay.
tenants, the maintenance, collecting the rents, just speaking to the tenants.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. It was like my own little Monopoly game.
Okay.
And ever since, again, I can remember, coming from Chicago, we had amazing architecture. Every
Yeah.
time I saw construction or cranes, it was just something that fascinated
Yeah.
me. So I would say that's where my passion started.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, and then obviously from there, you got into the industry as were you brokering deals? Did you
So from there, as a career, I was in technology.
manage- okay.
And this was right at the start of the dot-com boom.
Mhm.
So I was very young, and I was making a significant amount of money. And for some reason in my head, I told myself, you need to invest in real estate.
Okay.
So I purchased my first building when I was 18 years old.
Building.
An apartment building in the south side of Chicago. So I
Okay.
think it was like $60,000 at that
Wow.
time. So I was investing in property as a hobby in technology. Then I moved to Las Vegas in 2001,
Okay.
and I decided to take a break from technology and get my real estate broker license.
Okay.
Because I figured I just, moving into a new city,
Yeah.
wanted to learn more.
Okay.
I was buying and flipping properties, so I said,
Okay.
why don't I get my broker card to represent myself?
Makes sense.
And I just fell in love with it. So then I brokered there for about 5 years before moving here to Dubai in 2006.
Got it. So why Las Vegas, first of all? How did that come
I
about?
was tired of the weather in Chicago.
Okay.
It's very cold.
Yeah, in the winter.
You suffer. So I hated it.
Yeah.
I always loved the warm climate. My mother at that point was living in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And it was a new city. It was growing. Very reminiscent of Dubai.
Okay.
Really nice infrastructure, a lot of construction. So I figured, why not? Exactly.
Amazing.
Why not? Yeah.
Okay. And so you were there for 5 years, did you say?
I was there from 2001 to 2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah.
And then Dubai after that?
Yeah. So I
Super
have
early, right?
2006.
Wow.
So friends of mine from Miami, they were invited by Nikhil to look at some property on the Palm.
Okay.
So they asked me to join them.
Off plan completely.
Yeah, it was
Just
dirt.
the sea.
Yeah, it was dirt, beach,
okay.
sea. So they asked me to join them, to advise them. So we made the trip here, and I absolutely fell in love.
Really?
I was mesmerized.
Wow.
You know, seeing all the cranes, all the construction, the Palm being built.
Burj Khalifa being built as well.
Yeah, everything. So it was just, it was. I'll never forget the feeling that I had, and I knew immediately I had to move to Dubai.
What would the population be back then compared to now?
I don't know. It had to have been probably 2006, around the 2 million mark.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Maybe a little less.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Because I remember I came in 2013, and even back then, when I look back, it's just such a different lifestyle. It's crazy. Like you go out and see the same people. You couldn't avoid people. It was just, it was amazing. And then you were just in from that moment.
Yeah.
You went back and got your things and was like.
Yeah. So this was at the end of 2005.
Okay.
So then I moved in 2006.
Okay. And that was like really, the market was just, I heard stories from those days, napkin deals and queuing up.
Exactly. It was, and RERA wasn't yet established.
Okay.
So there weren't broker cards, there wasn't licensing. It was very much the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
So when I first arrived, I was managing a Canadian franchise at that time for about a year. And then, so technology was always something that I did.
What type of technology were you?
So in the very beginning at the dot-com boom, I was working with Microsoft and Sun Microsystems on their directory-based technology. So it's like the foundation to what all technology was built on at that point.
Okay.
Then when I got into real estate in Las Vegas, you didn't have company websites. Facebook wasn't yet.
Yeah, I know.
It didn't exist.
Yeah,
of course, Instagram or anything else wasn't existing back then.
Yeah.
So I did as much as I could with technology for like lead generation. And I did very, very well. I was in the top 2% of sales.
So would it be like email marketing?
It was a lot of email
website,
marketing.
Yeah.
I created my own website. I was doing microsites for like certain communities in Las Vegas.
Landing page kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah, and then at that time, construction, you had a lot of new construction off plan there.
Yeah.
So I was building websites for the developers.
Got it. Okay.
And we were getting leads and generating leads from there. So I always stayed, that technology had always stayed on. So then when I came here, was running the brokerage, very much the Wild Wild West, I said, and I didn't broker deals, I was just managing the day-to-day. And I said, you know what? It's very challenging to sell property when you don't have data.
Yeah.
Because everything is opinion-based.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and everyone has their own opinion, obviously, and it's not backed by data.
100%.
So that's when I started working on bringing the real estate data to the market.
Amazing, because you'd seen it in the US, right?
Yeah,
and
with
it was
MLS,
like, how could you do it without data?
Exactly.
But it must have taken a while, because I remember when I first came, even not that long back, just feeling like everybody's selling on momentum and just ideas, but there was no real, advice, because it's not backed up. It's just ideas and momentum.
Yeah. So that took a while. So 2008, 2000.
And I think it's still probably adapting as well.
It is, but it's really we've grown so much on data and using data in real estate. From real estate agents, obviously the advisory companies, the consultancies, they've always kind of used it. But really it wasn't until 2016 when I built Property Monitor.
Yeah.
So we built that platform using government data and using other data sources.
Got it.
And it was very much geared towards real estate agents. Because when we were building the platform coming from the US using MLS, Zillow, Trulia, I was like, okay, this doesn't exist here. We need to build something for agents, make it very easy. They can do a CMA, comparable market analysis report within like 1 minute. This is what we need to cater to. And then working with the government, I moved then to Property Finder. And then worked on the Open Data Initiative with Dubai Land Department, and then eventually creating Washer, which is the official house price index for the city of Dubai. So it took, so we're talking about from like 2008 to 2018 is when that data transformation happened.
I jumped in. So you were talking about when you were working at the Canadian company, but you didn't like the idea of not having the data. So how did you get from that to...
So when I was running the brokerage, like I said, it was very much Wild Wild West. There wasn't licensing, there wasn't rules or regulations, and I came from a very structured market, so I didn't like it. And I saw that huge gap and pain point in the market of not having data, which is very important, especially when you want to bring in foreign direct investment. So that's when I decided to pivot into the technology real estate space. So it was probably about 2008. At that time in 2008, I built a real estate portal called Easy Estate. This is way back in the day before you came.
Well before,
but oddly enough, or funny enough, or ironically, if you look at the Easy Estate video, which is still on LinkedIn, you'll see features there that don't yet exist in the market that would be amazing for the market. Like B2C tools, like consumer tools and broker tools. A lot of it does exist currently today on Property Finder and Bayou, but it took them, I mean, I built this in 2008 and they probably released these maybe a few years ago. So that was the very first entrance into the market on the technology real estate space.
It must have been super hard to
Very
get the
hard.
data from...
So when it came to the data, I knew the source of truth was the government. Obviously, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
They hold all the data, they hold all the information from the transactions, everything. So that was the first and really the only place that I went to at that time, because I knew that I had to convince the government to release open data into the market that's non-confidential. So at that time, I was building Property Monitor, and it was a real estate advisory company. And we convinced them to do reports on the data that they were giving us. And we said, okay, let me show you how we can do reports for the market that can be beneficial for investors, consumers, and B2B. And they agreed. And then they saw the value, and then they started opening up the data more and more on their website. And then when I worked on the Open Data Initiative while I was at Property Finder, that was for Dubai Land Department to offer their API to entities that would be building products from this data. So it was Property Finder by Youth and DXB Interact.
Amazing. But it was, I always found it as an agent a bit sometimes so misleading and unclear, because the difference in prices, and I guess sometimes you have like gifting and things are registered under sales, and then sometimes you can't send it because it's just going to confuse the client so much. Or what happens so much, unfortunately, is that the agents will obviously change the data to suit their side, right? If they're going to try and get an increase in price, they'll show the higher transactions and vice versa. But so now I see it's getting better. Why? How is that happening?
So what happened is I saw a very clear shift during COVID. So during COVID, I was at Property Finder, and we were doing these weekly webinars, and we were showing various different data points, and we had thousands of people on these webinars. It was very popular. I don't know if you remember them.
I do,
and we were showing various different data points to the agents on how they can help improve their business. So for example, I specifically remember when we saw the shift from searches in apartments to townhouses and villas. So we showed them the data, we showed them how they can use the data, how they can show the data to their consumers, to their clients. And this is where I saw agents really start to embrace the data during COVID, relying on it, and using it and sending it to clients. And that trend kind of stayed to this day. And now with so much competition in the market with brokerages and agents, you need to differentiate yourself
100%.
and you need to show that you are educated on the market or in your area.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you have data to back it up.
100%.
Yeah. It's very important.
It's massive, and I think from my 12 years in Dubai, I've never had support on that from the company. It's always been told you need to, know the market. There's never been a company that like focuses on that. So I had to do it myself. So I would literally write down every morning. My like set routine would be to search Dubai real estate news, and just try and find some facts and figures, so that when I was speaking, I was selling mansions. I've never bought a mansion. So how can I speak to someone and advise them on something I've never done? Well, I need to give them some knowledge, right? So that's something that I had to do. And the difference, I think, from an agent that says, this is a really great time to buy because everyone's buying,
yes,
versus an agent that says, we're expecting an increase in GDP. There's a new launch that's coming here which will add, these facilities, small things. And I really think companies don't do that enough. And I know my friends in the industry, they just feel lost, right?
But this is what differentiates you as a very successful real estate broker, now owner of a company, is that you took the initiative. You knew that you needed to be educated and to educate your clients as well. They were relying on you.
Yeah, I guess it's like, for me, sales is not in my nature to be pushy and to be salesy. So I felt like if I was going to ask someone to increase the offer or reduce the asking price, I needed to back it up with something apart from me just telling them.
That's the easiest way to do it.
And if you've got data, it's like, this is this is the market talking, right? It's not just me pushing you. So that's what we always talk about here. And every morning here, we role play and practice speaking about data and talking about it, so that it's natural and it can be put in. And honestly, the difference, even from the guys here now, they just feel so much better in themselves, like they feel like a professional. And let's be honest, they're trying to make the money of a top lawyer. An average agent in Dubai now is making $1 million dirhams net. That's £200,000. To make that in the UK, brain surgeons don't make that in the UK. So how are you expecting to go out and make that kind of money without actually knowing something?
Yes. Exactly.
So I think it's really interesting, and hopefully it just becomes more of the norm, I guess. And it then leads to a better experience for the buyers, and
gives you the leading advantage. For sure.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't tell all of our secrets. So I mean, apart from that, you've been around real estate. You've seen it all, I guess, in Dubai. What other things do agencies and agents lack, and what could they do to be better, in your opinion? So
the agencies have improved a lot, especially the larger.
The brokerages.
The brokerages, they've improved a lot, especially the larger ones when it comes to training agents on the market and how to utilize the various tools that they have. But just in general, I would say that there's a lack of knowledge on these various tools. So there's a lot of tools available to agents in the market, either to educate themselves or to promote themselves. We're seeing more agents on social media, but quite frankly, I don't think we're seeing enough, and I don't think we're seeing enough that is giving valuable content.
There's a difference, isn't there? I think a lot of social media with real estate. When we were opening another brokerage, I started to follow back real estate agents, and I'd never done it before because I never needed to. I was trying to make content for clients, but then now I accepted all the real estate agents, and it's the same thing, and it really. It's ruined my experience of social media now, because all I'm seeing are people trying to show off to their friends back home about how well they're doing, and I'm like, the client doesn't value. I never put a post up saying what I'd sold, because I get that it's kind of like proving that you can do a job, but it doesn't really give much more to the client. There's not really, clients not looking at that thinking, okay, I've learned something new, or this has helped me with a decision I'm struggling with. So most of it is just. They're doing it, but I don't know if they're doing it for the right reasons, perhaps.
Yeah, I think there's a few agents that I follow, and whenever they're showing a property, I skip. Yeah. Because, this is the living room, this is the kitchen.
I get it. I mean, you're going to want to see it yourself anyway.
Exactly. But when they have something informational on there, something educational, something that I'm learning from, then I watch. Even if it's something that has like a silliness component to it, but I'm still learning something. or when they talk about their deals, or what they've experienced, exactly. Yeah. Those are the interesting videos, and that's the interesting content. I would say that agents need to use more of that, as well as the tools, like the data tools and the portals. 100%. I mean, now Property Finder by You, they have both like really good data components to them. So utilizing that and educating themselves as well as their clients. I guess you have to understand it first before you can help others understand it. And then also another thing is a pet peeve of mine. When you hear these social media and podcasts of people speaking about data, but you don't verify what they're saying is true, and then you repeat it, that is a pet peeve of mine. So like one very common one is about the population stats. So you need to go to Dubai Statistics Center to see what the population growth has been since COVID, which is 100,000 gross. People are saying 200,000, 250,000, 180,000 because they're hearing these numbers and then they repeat it without fact checking. You need to fact check data always. Even if the person that's saying it might be the most credible person, just fact check it before you go onto social media and talk about it.
Because then it's you. That's your name.
Exactly.
That's really interesting. I always found it, I guess now it's easier, but in the days there'd be so much conflicting. When you're just looking at the news, like you said, without getting it from the true source, it's like, it's just such a mess out there. And you're trying to advise clients. There's just like the same kind of point, but different statistics around it. It's like, how can that be? You know?
Because people don't fact check.
It's crazy.
And you do have your source of truth, and you have a lot of government databases. You have Digital Dubai, Smart Dubai, Dubai Pulse. There's 3 names to it, where you can find a lot of the raw data that you can download. And then you have the data platforms. So like Readin is one of them. That's the one that I use. That is like the most comprehensive one in the market. But you need to fact check always.
How can one source be better? Like, how can Readin be better than if it's just the data? I don't understand that.
It's the data. It's how you clean it.
Talking about like these anomalies and things.
So is it a villa or is it land? It's in Wadi Safa 7, Wadi Safa 5, which community, which villa number. It's really the cleansing part. Also, it's about how much historical data that they have. And Readin is the oldest data platform here. So I think they've been here almost 30 years or something like that. So they have a lot of historical data that they can feed off of and use to build their matrices, which is what they did. So it's really important that you're looking at the proper data. And also from a source that is a neutral third party. Doesn't have their exactly. That's very important as well.
Interesting. How do you think AI will be affecting the industry on the data side, I guess?
So look, AI has been around for forever, for over 20 years. We were using it at Property Finder when I first started, and it wasn't a trend then. We used it to build the index, but today I really find the capabilities of ChatGPT to be fascinating. So if you train it, you get the paid subscription, you teach it, you upload to the databases the information that you need for your business, for example. You really can use it so technically if you want, or at a more higher level. So for an agent, you know, you train the model of who you are as an agent, what you focus on, you give it all the data for the communities, for example, and then you ask them to help you script social media for you, or build out a content calendar, like simple things, or you can get very technical in it with it. So I think that for sure is something that agents should be using today. And then also from a B2B perspective, you have like companies that are doing these like WhatsApp AI bots. That is the future. So like Ryan Serhant in New York, he built his simple app. And I keep on telling everyone here in the industry and PropTech guys, just copy it. You don't need to reinvent it, just copy it and be perfect for the market. Because it will make agents' life simple.
And help buyers as well. Right?
Exactly. And just it just will cut out so much time spent in the process.
Yeah.
So those are the two ways that I think AI today can really benefit the market.
Definitely a hot topic. I genuinely think it's going to affect us so much in a good way if you use it. But I think you've got to adapt it. I think you've got to start getting involved, because before you know it, people are going to be light years ahead.
Yes.
You can't be afraid of it and stand up. You've got to go in and explore and learn it. Just like with social media and these things, when they come about, it's an opportunity. Mm-hmm. But I do think people are going to have. Now everybody tells me, AI can't understand me. It's not got the human element. It can't.
You teach it.
Yeah, and as well, they don't understand the way AI is. AI will learn humans better than humans can, and the AI can take data from so many, like all the transactions that you talked about. It can consider that in a split second and give a result.
Yes.
We just can't do it, unfortunately. No matter how much we think we're important, we can't do that. So you should use it.
Yeah, it's all about prompting, which today is actual career.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's prompting engineering, and it's just going to get more popular.
Exactly. And the agents have an agenda, like we said, whether we like it or not. We know which developers pay higher commissions. We know which seller is easy to deal with or is paying a fee. AI is just going to give unbiased data, so clients will trust AI probably more than they're going to trust an agent. So you've got to be showing that you're using it.
It'd be interesting to see what the next 5 years will be like.
It's going to be crazy. Yeah. It's going to be crazy. Talk to me about Real Trust. Obviously, we've had an amazing experience with Real Trust recently.
We did.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
But talk to me about how it all happened, how you came up with the idea for Real Trust.
So Real Trust is an idea that I've had for over a decade.
Okay.
I saw that gap, that pain point in the market.
Yep.
For foreign investors who don't have bank accounts here, buyers or sellers.
Yeah.
Also coming from the US, title and escrow is how we transact.
Yep.
And that was lacking in the secondary market. So when I started to get more serious about, meaning I had the time to get serious about it after my data initiatives and projects, I started having conversations with the government through various different think tanks to explore the concept. So a few years ago, I just decided to say, you know what, we're going to show how it's done here, how we can do escrow successfully, how we can adopt the various different models here in the UAE. So we started, my business partner and I started Real Trust, and it was a learning process. It was a learning curve on how to customize it,
package it up to be able to be used.
To be a proper platform that was agile enough to handle as many countries as possible and as many currencies as possible, because our digital escrow platform is also has a foreign exchange component, which is very useful and helpful for international clients because they save money on the currency conversions. So being able to put all the pieces together and adopt it here, regulated, licensed, insured, every transaction is insured for £10 million, and then work with the real estate transaction process and how we fit into it. Every case is unique. We deal with investors from all over the world. We can deal with over 120 countries and over 40 currencies. So when I would say now we are at that point where we have a very good, solid business model. We built the digital escrow platform, and it's working very well in the market. And then we also recently started taking crypto transactions that are best regulated. And with your case, it was very interesting because it was very dynamic.
I'd say that.
We had the buyer and seller were both international.
Which was the first for me. And again, I said before, I felt like I was completely learning how to do deals again. So I'd not brokered a secondary market deal for about 3 years. And the market's changed anyway. The way that was an in-between, but the new Form F app was out there, but people were still doing forms, and obviously now it's completely online, which is great. It's so much easier. But not having either client in the city was a first for me. and it was so easy. And some people were talking about on the last podcast was like chance, how everything comes around. And we met at a talk in DIFC.
DIFC, yeah.
And I genuinely, if we wouldn't have met and talked about what you were doing, this whole thing wouldn't have happened. We probably wouldn't have done the deal. But it was amazing. And basically everything was just handled so easily from your side. The client side was a different issue. It was a frustrating story. And I said to you before as well, luckily I'm in a position where I'm okay. If the deal wouldn't have gone through, it wouldn't have affected me. But you still want to do deals, right? And it was now we're managing the resale in Kempinski. I wanted to do more deals. And the seller had some people are just crazy, right?
Yeah, I think what in your case, and it's a really good lesson to agents, just all agents here, your seller was thinking in euro, not in dirhams.
Yeah, which was mad because there was nothing tied to the euro apart from his initial purchase 2 years ago.
But that's what he had in his head, and that's what he thought, which is something that I always tell real estate agents is never negotiate outside of the dirham.
Yeah.
Because that's how deals are lost.
Yeah.
We've had quite a few deals lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the euro. And when we were doing this transaction, the euro went from 3.77 to 3.98 in a matter. It was a matter of a few weeks, that it happened, and that really could have impacted the deal if we were dealing in euro.
Yeah.
So that was one challenge, and I mean, it's like I told you earlier. I don't know where you got the patience, or obviously you're a very good broker because you were able to manage both parties because the buyer was getting annoyed as well.
Yeah.
And you were able to manage both of the parties extremely well. The deal fell apart. You were able to put it back together, and then we finally closed. We finished it.
Yeah.
But that transaction was the first for us where Majdal, our director of operations and legal, it was her and I at the registration trustee because we were both power of attorneys, one for seller, one for buyer. So there was no seller, no buyer, and no agents there because you didn't need to be there. So we were the only two there at the trustee transacting for this for this property. We handled escrow, we did the foreign exchange conversion, and they, everyone was happy. They got their funds same day, and it was good. So
it turned out well in the end. That's amazing. No, it was definitely, and I can only imagine so many more deals coming with our project. The owners are overseas, so there's going to be a lot more need for this. And I would also imagine the whole of Dubai, agents in Dubai, with the amount of overseas investment, they're going to need that service as well.
Yeah, so we're very busy, to say the least. What's unique about us, and we're the only ones in the UAE doing it this way with escrow, is that we open the escrow account in the buyer's name. So when the funds are transferred, they're transferred directly from the buyer to the seller or buyer to the developer for making a developer payment on their behalf. So it's a first party fund transfer. So it doesn't come to Real Trust, it goes directly from buyer to seller. So when it comes to compliance and central bank regulations, we bypass all of that. We just give the Form F. That's pretty much all that we need to give, passports. We do KYC, AML, everything. But for us, the transactions are very smooth. Funds are transferred same day, next business day, and we don't have to deal with the banks blocking the transaction or anything like that. So that's our unique selling point. And that's how we're able to service so many different countries and so many different currencies without problems. Because I'm sure you're aware, but beginning of this year, UAE Central Bank, they really locked down on their regulations. They didn't change anything, they just are enforcing them. So third-party fund transfers, they don't like. So accounts are getting frozen, funds are getting returned, funds are getting blocked for long periods of time. We have a client in the US, his funds have been blocked for 8 months from his account to his other account here. So we bypass all of this.
Okay. I mean, we've taken now 50% for our project, over 600 million dirhams, and the amount of agents that are asking for third-party transfers from random people.
Exactly.
And we're like, no, we don't do that. But everyone else does it, and I'm like, okay, that's not everyone else. Let's just stick to the rules. Yeah, it's crazy.
The amount of calls that we have received since the beginning of this year, even from brokerages who were taking buyer funds and creating manager checks on their behalf and now are frozen. And it's not just that transaction that's frozen, it's the entire account that's frozen. So they have their employees' salaries, they have the payments they need to make there for bills. So it's become a problem for them.
Yeah.
And they're also not accepting third-party manager checks being drawn. We had
because some of the manager's checks mention the guy that.
When you look at the full statement, we had a situation the other day where a developer refused the son sending the money for his mother for a transaction.
Crazy.
So it's getting very, very difficult. And we are in a very good position to service and help.
Something I want to mention that just came to mind. We actually I couldn't believe it at the time, but we had a check from a manager's check, it was a manager's check, let's just say, and I took it to the bank and the machine wouldn't accept it. It was for a payment on our properties, and the machine wouldn't accept. So I took it to the teller, gave them my IMRIS ID, signed the back of the check, gave them my number. It wasn't my check; it was from an agent. And that evening we got a call from the bank. It was a fake manager check. So an agent had taken a bag of cash or whatever it was to a random person, and they'd given them a check.
Happens all the time.
And they actually went to the police. And I was
all
like,
the time.
You know, you can't go to the police because you weren't supposed to be doing that, but they did. Crazy story. So it's just not worth it. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah. It really isn't, especially here because they take those type of crimes very serious, and it turns into a criminal
100%,
offense.
Of course, yeah.
So I mean, is it worth it?
No.
Is it worth that discount? And our escrow rates are the most competitive in the market because we're purely digital, so we can save on that cost. So it's just 0.5% for us. But when you're working with these third-party companies that are issuing these manager checks, you know, some are charging 3%, some are charging 1%. So if you're trying to get a less percentage, is it worth it to go to jail for?
Yeah, I think they paid 0.7.
Seven, yeah.
Like a few hundred dirhams.
It's not worth it.
Not at all.
And it's not worth the pain because what happened to the funds?
Gone.
How are you going to recover the funds? They're gone. They're gone.
Yeah. You're not getting back.
Same thing in the crypto market. It's the same thing. So you have all of these, you know, fly-by-night kind of companies that are accepting crypto at a cheap rate, and they're producing these manager checks. And when it comes time to issue them, and same scenario that you were in, I can tell you many cases similar to that, and then all the currency is gone.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's scary out there. That's why you're here, right? It's great to have the service. Let's talk about, just quickly, where's Dubai heading? What do you see in the near-term future? Not that people should be thinking in the near-term future, but it's interesting for someone that's so into the market and has seen it all here. What is happening now, do you see, in the next few years?
Right now we're in such a unique position. And we have been since COVID. So COVID, we had a significant V-shaped recovery. We saw, and at the same time, a little bit after COVID, we had the Ukraine-Russian conflict, which brought a lot of the ex-Soviet states here to invest. And Dubai is like the Switzerland of the Middle East. So regardless of the geopolitical situations, we still don't see the impact here. Also, from a macroeconomic perspective, we're pegged to the dollar. Dollar's okay. I mean, now since Trump came in, it's kind of a little shaky, but still, it's still a strong, stable currency. Compared to, like, for example, the euro now, which keeps on fluctuating. So we're kind of resilient to many of the external factors. What's going to be interesting is to see what's going to happen with supply. The handovers of what's going to be released, especially in areas where there's a significant amount of supply. It's going to be interesting to see what happens if the Russian-Ukraine conflict gets resolved and the SWIFT opens back up and funds can be transferred back to Russia. I personally believe we're going to see...
It's like opening a valve almost.
I think we're going to see a lot of people exit the market and bring their funds back home. Population growth, again, Dubai Statistics Center, 100,000 gross, but of that gross, we don't know the net number.
So when you say gross, you're just talking about
total
people
amount of
here,
total amount of residents that came in 1 year in Dubai.
Okay.
Since COVID.
Okay.
So since 2020.
Okay.
It's 100,000, but we don't know how many left.
Got it. Okay.
And of those 100,000,
Well, there will be. There's an amount of people, so it's definitely less. Yeah.
yeah, people will be leaving. But also of that 100,000, what's the split in that population that is actually investing and living
What's
here
the demographics?
and buying or renting? What's the demographic? And so we're not talking about, for example, laborers or individuals living in shared accommodations. We're talking about families or bachelors that are exactly. So what is that percentage? When you look at mortgage, which is very interesting, 10 years ago, 2% of residential sales were mortgaged.
Wow. Yeah.
Last year it was 65%. Now mortgage is coming down a little bit, but still, you're seeing more residents wanting to purchase to move into their property.
Yeah.
If you look at the rental stats, now this was given years back, so typically it was like 80% of the residents here were renting, 20% were buying.
Okay.
Then like in 2018, we started to see a little bit more growth in the buying of residents here, so it was about 70%. I would say now, but this is not published anywhere, we're probably about 60% of people who are renting versus 40% who are buying. So this also has an impact on what's going to happen with the supply that's coming into the market. For sure, rents will go down, especially in particular areas. 100%. Sale prices will go down. But that's not a bad thing.
No, it's great. Yeah, it needs to happen.
Exactly. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Dubai continues to innovate and grow when it comes to the job market and competitive with jobs here, because we need to attract people into the region and keep people here, as well as salaries. That's another hot topic. So I think these are all factors we need to look at when thinking about the future. And then we have what's happening in Ras Al Khaimah and Abu Dhabi. There's major shifts in those two areas. So I think the next 5-7 years, it's going to be very interesting here. But I don't see the growth or the popularity of Dubai diminishing or changing. There's, like I said, there's a lot of crypto coming in. A lot of younger investors.
It's almost like a brand in itself, Dubai. It's advertising around the world as the place to be right now, I think.
Exactly. Obviously, you have your high net worth individuals that are migrating from China and from the UK for tax reasons. So we're sitting in a really good position.
I think it's just about investors looking at location-wise supply that's coming in, because my not fear, but my analysis will be that the final installments could be an issue for a lot of people who bought off plan under the idea that they could sell for a 30% profit before completion, which obviously isn't always the case. And do they actually have the money to make the payment? And if they don't, they're going to get late payment fees, and they're going to obviously drop the price. And I think that's going to happen on quite a few projects, depending on location. But like you said,
yes, I think that's going to be a very common issue that we will see.
Let's see, it's certainly going to be exciting. Well, thank you so much. I don't want to take any more of your time. I know you're super busy right now. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Liam. I really enjoyed working with you. And
yes, likewise.
I look forward to so many more deals in the future.
I'm sure there will be. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lynnette. Pleasure. Thanks.